5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
How about we do it again?
6, 7, 4, 3, 2, 1. I think I farted.
Okay, let's try one more
I
time.
definitely.
Ready?
I can move you. Making review. Making review.
Say 6,
6,
5,
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello and welcome to another Film Club edition of Rank and Review. This is the voice of your host and random Canadian Larry Parsons, and the theme, still horror this season, is found footage. Forced perspective, faux documentary, that sort of thing. We've been here before on the podcast, but this is the first time I've had the whole Film Club treatment on it, and I think we have a pretty interesting bunch of movies here. We have My Little Eye, which is going to be reviewed by Fehr. We have As Above, So Below, which is going to be reviewed by Matthew Risling. We have The Taking of Deborah, Logan, which will be reviewed with Scott Lehman. We have Lake Mungo being reviewed by Raylee Perkins. The Devil's Pass being reviewed by Mr. Lee Beckmann. And The Final Prayer, also known as Borderlands, reviewed by Shelf-Shedding Movie Show host Mr. Jason Dubray. That is the food that you're going to be pouring into your ears this episode, but you should go in prepared that we are going to be talking spoilers and that there will likely be coarse language, typically from me and my sailor mouth. That's what we're doing here. I hope you like it, and I hope you have feedback, because you can send that feedback to ranknreview@gmail.com. That's ranknreview@gmail.com. Check out the website at www.ranknreview.ca. And I do have a very small YouTube presence, and if you were to leave a like or a subscribe or a comment or put your rank under one of the episodes, I will see that with my eyes. I will like that, and it will help bring traffic to Rank and Review, because Rank and Review wants more listeners, because I think I got a decent show here and people should listen to it. But I'm going to stop rambling on and on like I'm an interview subject who doesn't know what they're talking about. It's time to dig in to the found footage. So let's do that. Alright, it's Film Club time as usual, and we're going to be talking about footage that is found, or documentary that is faux, or whatever you want to call it. I think the newer incarnation of it are these Scream horrors, like the Host movie, or Unfriended, where the whole thing happens on a computer screen.
Yeah, that's right.
But the idea is that the perspective is forced because of a camera that is acknowledged by the movie. The camera is there with the monster or the zombie or anything else. What do you like in a good found footage movie, sir?
It's amazing. The first time I watched these, they work for me usually, and sometimes when I go back the second time, they don't work as well. Maybe it's the gimmick doesn't work as much. But I do like these quite a bit with like possession movies and this religious horror. Mine for this show is a religious horror movie. Blair Witch is such a funny one for me. We've gotten into it in the past before. Like if I get it on the wrong day, then I'm like, why do I think the Blair Witch is like one of the greatest horror movies of all time? And then if I get it in the right situation, I'm like, yeah, it is one of the greatest horror movies in the world. Why did I question myself? So I just feel like found footage, maybe it works a little bit better at home on a smaller screen. I'm not sure it works as well on a big screen. And maybe it works a little bit better at night than it does during the day, if you're watching one of these during the day.
I think experiential movies like these, which obviously because you're locked into the view of the characters or whatever's going on, they kind of wear you out, and in that way are a little bit of a one-time ride to a lot of people.
I think found footage can be used well. Like, it can be used well when it's interspersed in movies, but entire movies of found footage, they sort of have two really difficult hurdles to get over. The first hurdle is how do you end it, because it almost always just ends with the camera
Dropping.
falling over and then static or something. And then the other one is it can get a little bit nauseating with all of that shaky cam. There's not something to kind of ground you.
Yeah.
So the first one that I watched, as with so many people of my generation, I think was the Blair Witch Project, which I was like equal parts impressed by, but also never wanted to see again. But I did like that Hell House one. The thing that found footage has that's really going for it is you have a very narrow screen, right? You don't have any peripheral vision, and it makes sense because you can only see through the camera lens, so there is a lot of opportunity for things to jump out from the sides.
Yeah. If it's done well, I start to kind of believe the reality of what's going on, or air quotes again, believe. Like, I can get lost in it in a way that I can't in a really polished Hollywood production sometimes.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not a specific type of monster or villain. It's a way of telling a story. And a way of telling the story that in a lot of ways kind of ties your hands. You are stuck to whatever camera or perspective that you have selected for the storytelling, and you don't get things like ambient music or the wide shot to give you clarity on the vision. You trade off sort of reality, air quotes, with a lot of the comfort of the making of the film.
You don't have the narrator in the sky looking and telling you the story, right?
That's
so
right.
You have, you're really limited as to, and that, the bias of the narrator. There's, right? You can't get around that in a found footage.
Right. So what do you want out of a found footage?
I want to be scared. I think I like that the good ones don't have resolution.
Right.
And there's some that have resolution, and I feel like I maybe enjoyed those ones less because they forced it or just created an ending and forced an ending, whatever it is. But the Blair Witch doesn't really have resolution, in my opinion, or this one is kind of left open-ended.
Something about the word resolution suggests neat and tidy, and something about the format of found footage seems resistant to that.
Yeah, if you get caught up in the story, you kind of forget about it. But if the story lags for a minute, you start wondering, why are they still recording this? Because every now and then that does come up. It's like, all right, now's the time when you guys should just turn off the camera and run away. Certain conversations, why you're videotaping this conversation, there's usually that scene where they say, hey, make sure you record everything. Let's document this. People need to know or whatever, just so that it's just like the scene in a lot of horror movies where they have to show why they're not using their cell phones. Hey, I got no service. You just have to have that said at some point. Why are we still recording this? But for the most part, I don't care. I know you're recording this because it's going to make a found footage horror movie. That's good enough for me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm down for the genre. I don't think it's hard to say that I love found footage because it's a case-by-case basis, but I guess I will say I've enjoyed more of the found footage movies I've seen than I haven't. So,
yeah, there's a lot of different style ones, and you did a whole, what are your episodes where you were solo, where you just broke it down, and you can do it documentary style. You can do it's kids with a camcorder, whatever it might be. Those VHS movies. There's 8 different types of found footage movies all in one.
This is the Empire of the Dead.
These are human bones. We go through here?
Let's do it. Keep slow and steady, yeah?
I think I'm stuck.
Just breathe with me, please. It's okay.
What was that?
Is everyone okay?
I think I am. What the hell do we do now, huh?
We can't go back. We should just keep moving. Tell me we didn't just go in a circle.
It's exactly the same.
No, everything's upside down.
What happened to the entrance?
Wait, there's something here.
Oh my god.
What the hell is this?
When I was a kid, we had a piano that looked exactly like this. I used to play it all the time. The A4 key was messed up. What's going on?
As Above, So Below is one of the first productions that were actually allowed to shoot in the Paris catacombs, which is, of course, a very real location. And I think that's really cool about it. I think that the concept of urban explorers and found footage definitely hold hands in a very natural way because they explore caves and they film themselves doing it. Like, there's a good setup for a good horror movie here. I think one of the things that can be really frustrating, and people sing about this all the time with the Blair Witch Project, is if you have a really tough-to-take central character. Heather Donahue, people argue that for the Blair Witch. I'm going to argue that of Scarlett, Perdita Weeks, in As Above, So Below. I find her infuriating throughout the movie, like frustrating to deal with. Not just hard to believe. There are people that are just fearless about what they're going after and just don't seem to bear the consequences. But again, I don't know how to feel about this character. I don't know what this character learns, and I don't know if that arc consequently pays off. We're supposed to really care about her and this lost boyfriend that she's had, and I think the best thing he could do is stay the hell away from this person, and this whole adventure sort of rebonding them doesn't pay off. I do think the location of the Paris underground and some of the hellscapes that they show us. Somebody who wrote the screenplay watched Flatliners and said, me too, as our characters are going to be confronted by their sins as they explore this hellscape. There are moments in there that do really work for me, which makes me frustrated by the fact that the characters kind of don't. So I'm a little torn on As Above, So Below. Where does Matt land on this one?
This was a very weird experience for me. I hadn't thought of Flatliners, but of course now that you say it, it seems very obvious. My first note about it was dumb Indiana Jones, and then I thought dumb Da Vinci Code, but it's also kind of like dumb National Treasure. It's just like the dumb version of all of those things. But I weirdly enjoyed watching it, and I can't square this because I didn't think I have very many positive things to say. I think it was approaching so bad it's good territory. So
Okay.
there were things that were rubbing me the wrong way. Our main character, her introduction, she had 2 master's degrees and 2 PhDs and could speak all of the ancient languages. And like Da Vinci Code, she had a PhD in symbology, which I'm assure your listeners is not a real academic discipline.
What?
It's so, she's just and then she's also a black belt at Krav Maga because she's got to fight demons later. So, I mean, I don't really like saying Mary Sue because there's a lot of baggage that goes with it, but
I get where you're coming from.
If anybody deserves to be called that, it's her. And then the fact that she looks like a shampoo model on top of it all, and then she goes into the catacombs wearing fashion clothes, not spelunking clothes.
Yeah, she keeps on asking us to take her seriously, but everything she does and says kind of contradicts it. And this ex of hers, who was he say abandoned in a Turkish prison?
Yeah.
and is somehow going to reignite this passion. I genuinely don't see what he sees in her or why he forgives her. And the big climax of this movie is he's dying and she's got to use this magical powers of restoration to bring him back, and the true love's kiss is going to make this all work, and if you're going to work with that level of melodrama, we have to give a shit. We have to give a shit.
And sorry to your listeners for spoilers.
We do spoilers here.
The Philosopher's Stone was in her all the time.
That's right.
Time. It's so fucking dumb.
She just had to believe. There's no place like home. There's no... Yeah.
And I like when there's this underground spelunker, Papillon,
Yep.
this French guy that's gonna get her into So they've got to go to the tunnels beneath Paris where they're going to find the Philosopher's Stone because she found an old map. And when she meets him, he's like, "Do I look like a tour guide?" She's like, "Do I look like a tourist?" Yes. You look exactly like a tourist. You look like you're doing your gap year.
For sure. But then, again, just to, like, work a little bit of defense for the movement, like, when they have to crawl over the stacks of bones and it gets really claustrophobic and you start saying, like, don't do this, what are you guys doing here? Or when the geography of the place starts breaking on them, so, like, it's not just that they're lost, it's that they're, like, they can't be let out, there isn't a path for them but to keep going down now. I think that there's good, frightening emotional stakes to that, but all the people I care about are the people that are being killed to the side. They're falling in front of the main character to save her life and her pretentious quest.
But I think, like, when you describe it as like they're getting trapped, the physics get all kind of MC Escher.
Yeah.
This is why, as much as I don't like the movie, I had a lot of fun watching it, because it was kind of fun to go through this, hell world beneath Paris with them. It is quite obvious that they had maybe 2 rooms in the catacombs that they could film in, and they kept repurposing. I think some of it might have been done on a soundstage. It was very obviously limited sets. It sort of had that. It reminded me of Cube in that way, and and I don't really say this is a weakness because, whatever. It's a low budget movie, and I think they used what they had pretty cleverly.
Yeah, and it's cool that they got to shoot there because that is a crazy location that it actually exists.
Yeah.
But it's also incredibly dangerous. There's a mapped out area that you can get like tours of or whatever, but there's vast areas of just bones and rats and mud and blackness. Like, it would be a horrible place to get lost. And
and you get the feeling that the filmmakers were in Paris and they did a tour and they're like, by gum, we're gonna get a budget and we're gonna set a movie here. Which is why maybe the script feels a little bit rushed or like an afterthought.
Yeah. And again, I think they overthought it with the whole quest in the Philosopher's Stone. I think just an urban explorer or a team of urban explorers that go down the wrong passage or somehow encounter this cursed area would have been enough. Like, I don't think we needed the redemption of a romantic relationship or this whole ridiculous magical quest. I think that finding the gateway to hell under Paris is pretty credible to me. So, keep it simple, you guys.
Yeah, and the you alluded to this earlier, but the quest for the Philosopher's Stone led to a very strange and rushed feeling ending, because, as they're going through the catacombs of Paris and into this dark, hellish underworld, people are dying left and right, people in their group, until I think they started with 6, and then it's down to 3 at the end, and then they get out, and then there's like a hard cut to her giving an interview. Like, the movie's framed by, I guess, somebody's making a documentary about her.
Right.
So basically, these people die. They don't get anything. They leave with nothing. They don't even get the Philosopher's Stone. So there's just 3 of them that survive, and then there's like this really hasty ending where she says, for me it's not about the treasure. I guess I think of myself as a student, and I think that this was supposed to be what redeemed it all, is the fact that she's a curious mind. But like, no, you didn't get anything and people died, and
yeah.
That was it. Nothing. You didn't get more than what you came in with.
Honestly, like, if it had ended with him abandoning her there the way she'd abandoned him in that prison, it would have been a better payoff almost for me. Or when they climb out from the underground to the street, which was cool because everything was inverted. Gravity was inverted for them when they crawled out of the sewer grate. I thought that was clever, but I think it would just be much cooler if that guy was like, never call me again, never speak to me again, seriously, go fuck yourself. And he walked away. Like,
he certainly would have earned it.
And it would be more dramatically satisfying. Like, I don't want to poo-poo a happy ending, but most found footage movies end with everybody dying, and in this case it would have been appropriate and more satisfying to me.
Yeah, I had this as well. There's my last note about, I really liked the shot of them, when it mounted to them climbing down, but then the camera flips and they climb up through the manhole. It would have been enough. Even, he could have left her. They could have just, like, crawled out of the sewer half dead, and then credits run. They just it wasn't a happy ending, so, like, why force it?
Why try to make it one? But again, I keep on backing into that. There are things that work. I like the ghostly phone ringing down there. It's just such like an absurd sound to be hearing down there, so when it happens, it's kind of weird and fucked up. A burning car or the piano, like, it's things that have no business being there, suddenly being around the corner, kind of cool.
I have a really weird nitpick about that, actually, which it's nitpicky, so
sure.
I can't really count it as a strike.
That's what we're here for.
It was an American phone ring as
okay.
opposed to a European phone, and I found that just a little bit off-putting.
Fair enough.
It felt like a movie where a lot of things in the movie were made in haste, and that was maybe one of them.
I think, like, I could still recommend the film limitedly to people who like it, but I would say it kind of represents the good and the bad about a found footage film sort of simultaneously. When it's working, it's working, but when it miscues, the record scratch is loud and audible. Like,
and I would also say it's one of those movies that works better because it's a found footage. Like, this would seem to be, I don't know, I'm just trying to imagine if it was done conventionally, or like with dolly shots or whatever, and I think it would have been just a little too cheesy if they'd done it that way.
Again. And by all accounts, at least another couple passes on that script.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to say about As Above, So Below? Have we covered it?
Let's see. I don't... Oh, yeah. Just little thing that I thought was funny when she was trying to get Papillon and his gang of Parisian spelunkers. She promised him literally treasure.
Yes.
And she never explained what kind. She just says, you can have the treasure. And he's like, ooh, treasure. And then every now and then, during their search through the catacombs, he mentions that he wants treasure, which seems just so adorable.
Charming. I also like that guy that had been clearly lost down there for a long time.
Yeah, the mole.
Yeah, they bump into him and he has been changed by his time down there. Again, a cool concept. There's good stuff here. That's sort of the frustrating thing about the movie. It would be easier if I could just dismiss it as crap.
I didn't think he was changed. I thought he was just a demon in that guy's form. Because he'd been there for years and didn't seem to be much to eat or drink down there. That's
fair.
But in any case, he had a good creepy presence, and I like that they clocked him as a creepy presence from the beginning. He's showing them around, and you sort of think, if it's his former best friend would be ignoring all of the signs because, hey, you're still alive, man. But no, they all sort of thought there was something up. They just didn't have anything else to do except for follow him.
Yeah, and keep going deeper. Again, the actual idea of breaking into a hellscape. I remember before I actually saw The Descent, when I saw the trailer for it, I thought that's what it was. A bunch of spelunkers that finally spelunked their way into hell itself somehow. I don't know. Maybe there's a movie there too.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much what this was.
Yeah. Fair. Just a better version of this, I guess, is what I'm asking for.
Yeah.
Good enough.
There's someone upstairs.
What's your problem? You're always picking on people. You're always picking on me!
First, no heat, then no food. You don't think this could be part of their game?
Is someone out there?
You sons of bitches.
No!
So My Little Eye is from way back in 2002, but that's pretty early in the found footage cycle, I guess, or forced perspective cycle, whatever you want to call these types of movies that were popularized by the Blair Witch Project in 1999. This was barely 3 years later, but TV shows like Survivor and Big Brother were only just starting to kind of kick off on this side of the ocean, and the whole reality TV thing was just sort of starting to cook. This movie did okay when it came out, but I do think it was maybe 5 or 10 years early on like the zeitgeist and the idea of where, quote, reality TV could go and how easily corruptible it is. So it's called My Little Eye. It's about 5 people who are locked in this very remote house. Clearly, it's somewhere in Canada. They shot it in Nova Scotia, but it could be basically anywhere winter Canada.
Right.
The deal is if they stay there for, is it 5 months?
6 months.
6 months. They get $1 million each. But if any of them leave, any one of them leave, nobody gets anything. They've got cameras spread out throughout the house to watch them. And we get to see basically the last week of their time in the house when things start to escalate. And, I mean, it is a horror movie. Bodies start to pile up. It's a co-production of Canada and the UK. And apparently, interestingly, if you get the UK version of the DVD, you can listen to a commentary track run by the company that's doing this video. And
oh, really?
You can,
that might be interesting.
Right? And apparently there's things where you can look at different angles from different scenes in that DVD. Sadly, we didn't get that special treatment on this side of the ocean. And like I said, the movie did okay. It was well reviewed. It made more than its money back. But I think that there's something here that deserves a little bit of recognition. First of all, it is a cold cup of coffee. They don't really feel the need to ingratiate you with a lot of these characters. Like, they've been there for a long time, they're sick of being there, and they want out, and that's kind of the vibe of the movie going into it. And whether or not they like each other is just immaterial at this point. They've come this far, and they're getting the $1 million, and no matter what crazy shit happens, they're getting their $1 million. The archetypes beyond that, the guy who knows more than he should, the girl who's trying to get famous by being highly sexual, and the girl who thinks, presenting herself as this ingenue, well, this is going to be a good life experience. I don't think we really knew what the reality TV tropes were yet when this movie was being made, and yet here they are. And I think it hit me in the stomach more than it expected me to. Like, it gets mean and ugly in a way that's kind of almost uncomfortable. But I do think effective. Chris Lemke's a really good Canadian actor. You might remember him from things like Ginger Snaps or Final Destination 2. He's sort of the guy who really starts piecing things together the most of the group, that, like, this isn't on the level. And the other thing, before I hand it over to you, that was kind of, I think, indicative of how ahead of the game this movie was, there's a celebrity cameo by Bradley Cooper in this movie.
That was Bradley Cooper.
That was Bradley Cooper. Now, Bradley Cooper wasn't Oscar-nominated Bradley Cooper at the time, but he was very much on his way up and bigger than this movie, you know, was. And he's only in the movie for like 10 minutes. It's a very brief sort of section of the movie that he's in. But he kind of takes the movie from tense to serious threat by his presence. Again, in all ways, ahead of the ball, in like effective found footage or forced perspective, ahead of the ball satirizing and criticizing reality TV, ahead of the ball on Bradley Cooper, and it stuck with me. So we've just talked about Grabbers recently, which I felt was a really unsung movie. Nobody talks about My Little Eye. It's like quite a significantly old movie at this point. And people like talking about found footage, and it just seems to never come up. So I don't want to oversell it. It is another found footage movie. There are some things in it that are just tropes of the genre, but I think this is pretty damn solid. And I'm looking for a second opinion.
So the issue that I have is it's the two genres that I don't like I like the least probably,
right?
And that's found footage, and that's reality TV. So when you combine them together, like we did, it's going to be really hard for them to sell it to me.
Right.
I think part of the problem for me was it is a production of its time, and I'm so jaded over the last two plus decades since it came out that I just roll my eyes at everything they do. Like they are tropes that I'm just like, oh, one of the, oh yeah, there's the slut, oh yeah, there's the guy. It's just like, oh, I can't even anymore. So I think that was my problem with it. I think I'm just too jaded for it at this point. I understand all the points you were making. It just wasn't made for me.
Fair. There's something about a movie that just the right movie, wrong time. I feel like that might be guilty, or if it's a guilty thing of this movie here. Completely different type of movie, but the Kids in the Hall movie, Brain Candy. I feel like that was 5 or 10 years ahead of its time, and that it was talking about pharmaceutical companies and their, stranglehold on the culture and acceptance of gay and queer sort of culture and all of these things before people had their head around it in a way that they were ready to talk about it, right? They were already playing the satire card. I guess there's part of me that gives this extra sauce because I feel like it was legitimately ahead of the game. I also find it's rare that a movie kind of gets under my skin. When they start killing these characters off in really awful ways, and there is an audience, but they're not there to see anybody win or lose. They're just there to see people die, and this entire apparatus was here to serve this purpose. The 6 months leading up to this was all subterfuge. Nobody was going to get out of this. I don't know, like it hit me in the stomach more than most found footage movies did. For some reason, I just felt the awfulness of, like, the machine that would have to be in place to make something like this happen.
Right.
And yet the believability of it to me, like, especially in the day of, that we're in where, I guess there is a cabal of child abusers that
turns out that was true.
Spin the world. Like, knowing that, is something like this really that difficult to accept?
Not to mention the fact that when it did come out, the internet was still relatively in its infancy, right? So you didn't have stories like this. So probably at the time it came out, this probably was like, oh my God, people could actually use the internet for this thing. Whereas nowadays it's like, well, of course they do.
They are and must be, it seems like. Inevitably true.
Yeah, so I think if I would have saw this movie in, say, 2004, 2005, I think my view may have been very, very different, but I'm not that person anymore, unfortunately, right? So, and since this was my first time seeing it, I don't have the past me to talk about it with you, right? And I guess also the 6 months, I get the 6 months thing, but when the secret comes out that it was all about, it was all just about their deaths anyway, I'm like, why 6 months? Like, you could have just wrapped this up in like 2 weeks. Like,
I suppose.
I just don't understand what they were thinking. Like, why 6 months? Like, there's a lot of 6 months to build up to.
I guess. I just think, like, for them, it's just this joy that they would get. They can log on to the internet every day and watch these people that are waiting for their payday and feel powerful about it and judge them for their desperate want to be famous. And
I suppose,
but it's not a torture movie necessarily. There's some ugly death in it, but it's not about that. It's about the power of puppeting these people and the control and manipulation and judgment of them. And again, in this day and age, I find that kind of superior attitude both disgusting, repellent, but believable.
And disturbing.
Yeah. I also want to touch on something you said about the unlikable characters thing, because this is something I've bumped into myself. I feel like in this movie, I agree with you, most of the characters are hard to get behind, but we catch up with them in the last week. They cannot wait to get out of this house. Like, their nerves are frayed. It's not just that they're shitty people, there's something feeding it, which I do find helpful. Plus, their petty evil is so small pitted against the web of controlling evil that has them imprisoned here. But
yeah, I'll give you that.
Yeah, but I mean, what won't people do for a quick buck nowadays? You know,
and it's true, yeah.
So I don't know. It's a solid movie, and a missed movie. I think that's the reason I really want to flag it personally. But again, not for everyone, as you are saying.
I just don't think it was made for me.
Yeah,
but I can understand how you would appreciate it. I can understand that.
Also, it's done with the CCTV footage. So there's cameras all through the house because they were broadcasting on the internet, plus the security cameras. But there's not too many shots where, boy, that angle seems awkward, or like where we don't get to see what we're supposed to see because of the convenience of camera, which
for sure
is maybe a little bit sloppy. And there's a few times where they add this digital ambient score. It's kind of like swirling distortion in the background.
Yeah, you're right, yeah.
But that wouldn't be present, right? That's clearly an addition that a filmmaker would make to make a scene more tense. And once you become aware of it, it can take you out of the movie. It does have its problems. I don't want to be just completely pouring my praise over it. It does bump into some of the problems that a lot of the found footage movies do, but it doesn't get mentioned enough, and I don't think gets its due credit. And I don't know. If you're a fan of the found footage genre, I think it's worth a look.
I do appreciate the disturbing nature of the premise. Like, it's not a comfortable thing to think about.
No.
Yeah.
Good enough?
Yeah, I'm good.
Stuff started happening around the house. Sounds seemed to come from Ali's old room.
They didn't really relent, so I thought, well, I'll just set up a camera to, see anything. I looked back and there was footage of a figure moving across the hallway.
The image was quite unsettling because it certainly looked like Alice.
I want you to close your eyes. I usually videotape my sessions. Something was happening inside that house and I wanted to find out what it was.
We checked the tapes.
There was a ghost in our house.
Alice kept secrets. She kept secrets a secret.
Something bad is going to happen to me. It hasn't reached me yet, but it's on its way. And it's getting closer.
So I'm interested to hear, Raylee, what you think of Lake Mungo. Because you were saying before we started you're not sure if you had much to say about it, which leads to me that maybe you didn't kind of vibe with it too much.
No, it's not that I didn't vibe with it. I had no idea what I was getting into, which is always part of the problem when I approach these movies. I should maybe do a little bit of research. And so I got really, spooked by it. Right away, I was, home alone. I didn't know what I was... And it was just, this ghost story that I was not expecting. And so I was trying almost to resist the movie a little bit because I didn't want to get sucked in by it.
You don't want to be too scared.
Yeah. And the whole time I was it reminded me of the old Unsolved Mystery episodes that would air. And those used to really scare me when I was a kid, and I'd be whatever night they aired, and you'd watch these episodes, and it was
haunting your dreams.
So, yeah. And it had that sort of vibe to me.
I agree. I think it triggered memories of my true crime phase.
Yes, yeah.
I really got into it maybe in my early 20s. I couldn't watch enough of those, documentaries on A&E or read books, read the Zodiac book, read Helter Skelter, and all of these really grim, true stories.
And now Netflix has 1 million of them that you can watch.
And, they're almost worse. They've become even more exploitative in the way they do their business.
Yes.
And they put this magnifying glass on true tragedy. And, again, I'm guilty of it. I went through that phase, but when I hit that wall, when I was watching this grieving mother with a camera in her face someone saying, so when they found your daughter's body, how did you feel?
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck am I watching?
Yeah.
It
was really
is
exploitive.
An intensely personal, invasive, exploitive thing.
Yeah.
And Blake Mungo gives me sort of my air quotes true crime vibes, with the benefit of it being a work of fiction.
Make believe.
And,
that's fair.
But it's done really well. Like, it's convincing. I think the grief that you feel coming out of this family seems genuine. Like, it's very sincere. It's such a heavy, sad movie before it becomes a creepy movie.
The one thing that resonated with me when I was watching it is when I think it was the dad who says, and when we drove home and there was an empty seat in the back of the car, and I was just like,
oh my God.
As a parent, I was like, the thought of driving home and not knowing where your daughter is and just like having to leave, like you don't think about like parents leaving. And like, I always come back to that. I listened to this podcast, and it was the one about the dingo ate my baby. You know that one?
Oh, yes.
And like, that mom had to leave the camping trip without like, and I'd never thought of that. I never thought of the parents leaving without the thing they came with, without their child. And like that, in that movie, I was like, I'm done. It just like, it really gutted me.
It's heavy.
Yeah.
It's also pretty narratively complex because, sorry, I guess we haven't really talked about plot. This family is grieving their daughter who had drowned on this family trip. And the body took a few days to be discovered. And in the aftermath of that, weird things start happening around the house, and they start seeing spooky images of her. So you're thinking, okay, this is a ghost story. She wants to tell the family something. She wants to help with the grieving process. There's a mystery that needs to be solved. Mm-hmm. But then the movie swerves you. No, that's not precisely what's happening at all. And it conclusively shows you that the stuff that you saw wasn't what you thought.
Was staged.
And, then it's more about the grieving of the family and the sort of, like I was talking about, the exploitative narrative of this examination of true crime. And right when you're starting to be comfortable with that, it sucker punches you with Supernatural again. Mm-hmm. Genuinely legitimate Supernatural, but not in the predictable ghost solves a mystery sort of way.
Yeah.
And I actually misspoke when I did my found footage special. She didn't actually drown at Lake Mungo. I said that when I was describing the movie previously. They were at this other area, but during a previous trip to Lake Mungo, she had this experience, this premonition of her own fate, and that had haunted her. And in conglomeration with the terrible goings-on that were happening in her own life, that we find out the sort of sexual exploitation that she was keeping secret, it also unbuttons...
Like the neighbor came into it. Yeah.
It all buttons how much you think you know your kids really well, but they have an entire secret life that you have no access to.
Yeah.
Like, I joke that my boys are really well behaved and really, really good, but they might have a secret meth lab in the house. The truth is that they might have a secret meth lab in the house. Like, parents, as much as they love and pay attention to their kids, are capable of having massive blinders.
Totally. And I think that I was thinking of the grief is like twofold. Like, I'm obviously like putting myself in the mother's shoes in this because I'm a mother myself, but like the grief of losing your child. But then that second grief of losing the child you didn't, like finding all these things out that you didn't truly know your daughter.
First you failed your child, and then you lost your child.
You didn't know her. You thought you knew her, and you thought and so that the mother, well, both parents, but like that must have been just a real blow. Like I think that was like for me really heavy to hear too. Like, oh, you're finding out all of these terrible things about your daughter, and you can't help her because she's gone, right?
I think that. Yeah, so like I said, the complex narrative and the amount of things it's accomplishing, but the fact how you described it immediately grabs you by the feels.
Yeah, I was suckered in right away.
It's emotional right away. You're invested with the family right away, and you want to know what happened to this woman.
And it felt really believable. Like sometimes with found footage movies, you're like, I'm not really believing this footage, but right away I was like, no, I'm in a true crime documentary. I'm watching this. Like that, I immediately believed what was happening, which I think helped pull me into the story more.
So the one problematic area, and maybe this is a nut you can help me crack.
The psychic?
Well, that is a funny scene. But I was actually thinking of the brother staging the ghost images. Mm-hmm. What do you think that was about? Like, did you buy that as something that he would do?
So I've been thinking about this because I don't think I believe in ghosts.
Okay.
However, I've just lost 2 parents very recently, and I now understand why people would want to believe in ghosts.
Yeah.
And I think he was trying in some way to like have a connection to her, but to also provide comfort for his parents. Like, I mean, I think of what he went through on that loss, like losing his sister. They were very close in age. It seems like very close. And I just feel like maybe he wanted to keep a connection, like something so that it would provide comfort for all of them. And so, I don't know.
I think an argument could be made. It was like a baked-in bait-and-switch kind of for the sake of it, but we also all grieve in different ways, and he was going through a lot of stuff. And again, the idea of keeping his sister, air quotes, alive, making the documentary interesting, making her life mean more somehow. Like, we have to do that ourselves because it's never really adequately explained in the movie, and that could be a weakness. I also think that the early digital grain and sort of almost VHS-y vibes of a lot of the footage that we are seeing, some people just don't like that. They don't like looking at that kind of footage for 92 minutes or whatever.
Yeah.
And if that's going to bother you, it's going to bother you. It's not really massively shaky camera. It's much more sort of point of view interview footage and then little bits.
It's like the Sasquatch footage. Like,
that's right.
There he is running off in the distance. Yeah. And they really had to like, I never saw the ghost. Like I never, until they like zoomed it in and whatever, like I kept thinking, oh, I'm going to see the ghost in these pictures at some point. And I never saw the ghost until they specifically pointed it out. So I don't know. I just felt that ultimately there was like almost too many threads in the story. Like I think just the grieving process and like the discovery of the daughter, like that storyline would have been enough. But then they brought in the neighbor and then the psychic, and they just, and like I kept being like, do I need to know who these characters are? Do I need to follow their stories too? Like all of a sudden I felt like I was almost overwhelmed with like, are these people important and do I need to pay attention to them, or are they just like,
if it was a straight-up true crime documentary, they'd probably be streamlining us to what the correct answer was instead of, like, belaboring these sort of tethered ends. But individually, except maybe the psychic, although I even understand that. You just want to believe that you can still talk to your kid.
Yeah, but then the fact that he was also connected to her. Like, that to me was the thing that I had a hard time believing.
Right.
Like, I think there could have been another way into the daughter's story that wasn't like, oh, we both hired the same psychic.
Right.
Like, I don't know, but maybe it's a small town. Maybe psychics are hard to come by. Like, he was the best in his field, so maybe that's why they wanted him.
I do think that the premonition itself is utterly chilling. Like, it's when they find her body, she's been underwater for like...
it's grotesque.
A couple of days, and it's, been expanded and sort of distorted by the water and the environment. And this shape that walks towards her is her own corpse after having been pulled out of the water several weeks before she actually drowned. And we know that through context. She doesn't know exactly why, but she understands intuitively that it means bad news for her. And that she caught it on film and that she believes it utterly. I feel like even if you don't connect with the rest of the movie, that chunk of footage is a powerful piece of found footage.
Yeah.
And like it would be in that sort of lexicon of great found footage moments.
And just the chaos too of like the party in the bush and like being on shitty cell phones. Like I just thought the way it was like crafted was very well done. Like I believed it. Like I could believe that I was actually watching true like, so I think that's like a sign of a good found footage movie when you believe the story, right?
Yeah.
And I was spooked. Like I was not comfortable the entire time I was watching it. I kept waiting for the jump scare though.
Right.
Every time they'd like blow up and like zoom into the ghost or zoom like in and like I kept, and it just again,
it's not that kind of movie.
Never happened. And I think maybe that my nerves were waiting for it. So maybe that was part of the spookiness.
They want to keep you right on the edge.
Yeah. And they did a great job.
to be a little bit graphic.
They're edging us.
Exactly, Because, it's almost better than the orgasm itself. Is just almost
before. Yeah, I was like waiting for it, and then when they just
left you there,
drove away, and I was like, oh, is it going to come at the footage? Now it's going to never happened. And I hated it in the moment, but I think it made a really good movie.
And typically tragedy like that doesn't provide any answers, so anything beyond that would seem dishonest to the rest of the movie.
Yeah, and I just would have it just made sense that they just eventually packed up and had to move on, and they had to leave the house to do it, I just think it just centered the grieving family very, very well. And I liked what you said about it's exploiting them, but it's okay because it's fiction.
That's right.
And I never, because it's the one thing I hate about documentaries is I always feel why are we watching this? Why are we...
And I mean, I guess maybe the victims are making some money out of this, and maybe that's a good thing, but it's still... at some point, it started to feel gross enough to me that I actually kind of tuned out of it.
Yeah.
And in the age of, like you say, these epic Netflix documentaries, and apparently I didn't watch it. Apparently the Ed Gein one wasn't even factually accurate.
I didn't watch that one.
I went through that phase, and I think most people do, but I do think it's a phase. I think it's sort of the way kids are recklessly interested in the darkest things possible, because on some level they don't fully understand it yet.
Right. And there's just an appeal to I don't know. There's an appeal to the mystery of it and the solving
really
of it.
Happened.
Well, and most of the time in the documentaries, not always, but the problems are solved. The mysteries are solved. The guy goes to jail. The person gets charged, right? So there is that resolution that happens that didn't happen in this movie or in some of the other ones that I find a little more terrible to watch. When there's just no resolution and everything's shit and everyone's shit.
But honestly, open up a new subgenre of found footage of faux true crime.
Yeah, it would be a hit. It would be a massive hit.
It doesn't have to be true to be interesting.
Well, and now all the podcasts too. There's a lot of true crime podcasts.
Yeah. There's plenty to choose from. Is that enough on Mungo?
Yeah, I was happy with it.
53 years ago, 9 people set up camp in the Ural Mountains in Russia. It had become known as the Dyatlov Pass incident.
Are you scared?
No.
We're recreating a trip in which 9 people died.
Yeah, what, 50 years ago?
Time to go.
It's a test, Man against the elements.
Guys, say hi from Ibdel! Come look at this!
What is it?
The GPS is all screwed up.
We should just leave.
By the time we get packed up and get moving, we're gonna be hiking in the dark.
You gotta reset it now. Ah! Ah! They tried to bury us so it looked like an accident. Help! Where'd he go?
So Rennie Harlan.
Yes. The Rennie Harlan.
Harlan.
The Rennie of Deep Blue Sea Harlan.
Well, I've said on the podcast before, I like it when, quote, legit directors do horror genres. And I think Rennie Harlan's pretty legit. I mean, he Die Hard 2 and Cliffhanger and a lot of, big movies.
Don't forget Long Kiss Goodnight.
No, I won't. And he, the famous debacle of Cutthroat Island.
Yep.
And
the
Deep Blue Sea, which is what he will be always remembered for. Immortal movie. Thank you, Rennie Harlan.
There is something wrong with you if you don't like that movie. I think that's when it's like when dogs sniff out there's something wrong with you. If a dog doesn't like you should be worried. If you don't like Deep Blue Sea, you really should be worried.
Alas.
Yeah, but
that's judgment on Mr. Jason Dubray. Jason Dubray hangs his head in shame right now.
Okay. But Rennie Harlan.
This is based off of a true story, at least of the inciting incident, the Dyatlov Pass, where a bunch of mountaineers were found dead in various state of physical disruption and undress.
Yep.
And the answers as to why and how that came about has never really satisfyingly been explained.
Yeah.
But it was a combination of weather, possibly avalanche, possibly exposure, possibly some sort of violent exchange between the group. No one knows, no one will ever know, and this found footage follows a group of students who are going to retrace the steps of this original troop into the Ural Mountains in Russia and see what they can come up with, see if they can find something that no one else has. But the key bit of information that our fearless leader of the troop has not told anyone, and that we don't find out until deeper into the movie, is that she has been dreaming of this place since she was a little girl.
Yep.
And the only thing that stopped the triggering of those dreams was when she read about the Dyatlov Pass thing. There is some sort of fatalistic portent driving her that I was irresponsible for her to not include that information with the rest of the crew.
Yeah.
I also will argue that because of that, she is underreacting to the scenario almost throughout the entire film.
Yes.
I do like that the rest of the group seemed believably obnoxious as early in their 20s, having their first big adventure in the real world, maybe not taking things as seriously as they should, but in that sort of immortal phase of your youth where you're just sort of fearless and believe you can just will anything into being. And because of that, I found it easier to like them. Even when they were being idiots, I was sort of I was that idiot once upon a time. They were relatably young, dumb, eager beavers.
Young, dumb, and full of commas. It was once said in the classic Point... not Point Break. Was it Point Break?
I believe it was Point Break.
Point Break, yes.
Yeah. So it doesn't turn out well.
No,
I mean,
shocker.
In true found footage form, it doesn't turn out well.
Yep.
There are some things in the movie that are pitfalls of the found footage that this is guilty of, the camera being in the exact right place so that we can capture things, up to and including a close-up at the very end of the film where the camera's panning close-up. Nobody's operating that camera. That camera's been put down on a table, yet somehow we're getting this zoom in on this monster's
it reminds you
face.
that it's a movie,
And there are a handful of scenes like that where you're nobody's shooting this. This is just something that we needed to see, and Rennie Harlan's trying to sneak it in. And I can be a little bit persnickety about that with the found footage. Respect the reality of your camera in the found footage. It gave
at you, Rennie.
It gave him a little more options to give us higher scale spectacle, which is his inclination. He directed Cliffhanger once upon a time. This is I feel like he's got a hand tied behind his back a little bit creatively, and he's using that as a challenge. Can I still make an entertaining movie?
Okay.
And my argument is that he, for the most part, did.
Yes, he did.
It is not perfect, but it's a pretty solid found footage movie, and it's a good premise. It
I've seen
makes
way
sense
worse.
that people would
way worse.
want to do a documentary like this and retread these steps. It's a good subject for this genre. So I'm mostly happy with it, but I am not foaming at the mouth. What does Mr. Beckmann think?
Well, I've definitely seen way worse. I do also like the idea of dimension jumping sort of beings. What was that other movie where these brothers go back to that camp? The
Endless.
Yeah, The Endless. There seems to be a sort of subgenre of what dimension jumping beings that at some point maybe we should do, because I do like that idea. And even the cave itself is just the design of it, I thought, was a cool idea.
They find a bunker buried in the mountain, which was clearly used for some Russian experiments.
So I do like what the monster or the idea is. Mm-hmm. I think that was, sort of a good idea. A little bit more like at the Mountains of Madness, once again, just a tick.
Yeah.
Definitely entertaining. Lovable bunch of, red coats or whatever you want to call them, the ones who, all basically die. I was, generally entertained. I don't know what else more. I mean, some of the acting was wonky, whatnot, but they sold it well enough. I don't know what else to say.
Well, I think that they played with our expectations a little bit.
Okay.
I like the initial first act basically tells us about the original adventure, and then we get the kids to the site, and then right away the kids have gone missing. And we jump from the faux documentary into the found footage of the recovered video.
The bar footage was a good idea.
Yeah, so that it's nice that it can sort of split the difference between the two.
Yeah.
But I don't know about you, but I was sort of going into it thinking, well, like all of the more ridiculous out there supernatural theories are, which tends to go alien or Yeti.
Fair enough.
Or like that they psycho killed themselves for whatever. Mountain madness.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to me that the Devil's Pass, or as it is some places known, the Dyatlov incidents, chooses none of those things.
Yeah.
It's government experimentation, and I believe that it is a transformed, time-traveled, mutated version of our two, quote, survivors that are the enemy to this group. Like, they are being tormented by themselves.
And somewhere H.P. Lovecraft is weeping.
Well,
weeping, I tell you. And it is a horrifying idea.
Yeah, it's and pretty much well handled. Again, they could have made more of just the winter survival itself, because just the getting to the place and surviving there could be its own horror movie. And I think the naivete, like I say, these are a bunch of young kids, and this is all just an adventure that some of them are just taking half seriously. And the one guy was just like a gung-ho mountaineer, and he's like just fearless. Where are we going? Who died there? I don't care. Let's go. I'm not disappointed that they went a different direction, but they did. I read this novel, Abominable, by the same guy who wrote The Terror. And it's these mountaineers going up on a mountain, and they're going to encounter something evil. And what would you think that might be if the book is called Abominable?
Yeah.
Well, it's fucking not what you think it would be, and I was so ripped off by that book. In this case, it's not what I thought it was going to be, but it was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I wish that the creatures, once they were revealed, were a little less CGI, and I agree with you that we saw them an awful lot.
Yeah.
But it's a hard thing to sort of like pull off in a big budget movie that they can sort of blanch in and out of reality.
Yeah, even the end shot with that last sort of secret is revealed seems very dated CGI, like at best.
But it's minimal. It's at the end of the movie. By the time you get to it, you're into the movie enough that you'll weather that storm. But I agree, it is pretty CG. Undeniably, yes.
Yeah.
I say yes to that. They did well with the cast in that, like, there's not a lot of familiar faces here, but I don't think anybody actively sucked.
No, like, there was not, like, one scene where you dealt with absolute cringe. I mean, I sort of chuckled at sort of the cliches that show up of, whether, any sort of brief introduction of sex or drugs. Like, there was just sort of even the exposition scenes, I think, were handled fairly well. Like, when they're sort of unraveling the whole plot to us viewers who haven't figured it out at that point. I've seen definitely way worse, even in the sort of the handling of that. But
I also respected that, like, there was clearly a conspiracy of secrecy around the Dyatlov Pass incident. Yeah. Clearly, higher up people and people in the community who were there know it, but not everybody.
Yeah,
certain people are giving them the stink eye, and they're like, "You're being an idiot. Don't do this. Don't ask these questions."
Yeah,
but there's also a lot of people who are like cool with them and feed them drinks and give them rides to where they need to be.
See, here's another question. Do those people know basically that they're doing this trip over and over again then?
Well, I think the cycle would only work once.
But do those people, like...
I don't think that the civilians do. The military knows what's going on. Okay, I feel like they were just being... Sergei was just being genuinely helpful to them.
So you don't think that these people sort of all of a sudden get trapped in this loop, like there'd be like whole versions of them, and they just do that ceremony over and over and over again?
Well, the Dyatlov Pass incident happened, and then that sort of starts the loop. And when they go through that gate, that resets it. It just sends them back in time as those creatures.
Yeah.
So, like, that journey, I guess, for them... I mean, what happens to the monsters now that they're on the other side of that door, I guess, is the question.
Yeah.
Are there two of them existing in two different timelines now? I mean, they don't answer that question. But that was my interpretation of the movie. I could be wrong. And I did like there was a few scenes where they were being interviewed each other, and they were so into talking to each other that they didn't notice in the background that a couple times you actually did see them.
Yeah.
And I thought that was sort of nicely sort of revealed.
It is. Yes, yeah, it was cute little tricks.
But the closer we got to the creatures, the worse they looked. That is true.
Yeah, I just sort of got, kind of got enamored with the idea that perhaps maybe the town knows even a lot more than they realize, that these people are sort of trapped in that loop, and there's maybe different versions of them.
The town wouldn't know that. Like, there's no way they could know that. They're not reliving it again and again, right?
But do they?
The town wouldn't.
Okay.
How does that work?
That's true. That's true.
It would just be for those two characters stuck in the loop. It wouldn't be for everybody in town. They would just live their lives normally, right? I don't think the entire town was about it, and I welcome that, because in so many horror movies, like, everybody in the town is just so sinister, and how dare you.
Okay.
And I thought it was kind of refreshing. There was some of that, but it wasn't the entire community. There were the Sergeys and that bartender who seemed genuinely helpful to them.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
The door reveal. She has this sort of little device that will register radiation, and she follows it out into the darkness. Again, why at night? And she finds this buried door, and like right away I go to the speech that she talked about earlier in the film, where she had these dreams about this door in a mountain that swallows her into darkness. And if that's the first thing I think of, why the hell isn't it the first thing she thinks of? Like, why isn't she shaking and falling apart? And even if there is something in her that she must know what's behind this door, like she will not leave not knowing, she's inextricably drawn to this fate, like there's nothing she can do about it, that would be okay. But God damn it, her reaction to finding that door is wrong. It's just wrong. She's excited.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it.
What's this? This is great. We
Yeah,
can't tell the other people. They'll be spooked off of the site. She is such a prisoner of bad writing at that point that Like,
well, because she's the Heather.
Again, you could still keep it that she still wants to get there despite her terror. But she should not be blasé about this. Like.
Yeah, I know.
Even if she was just a sincere student trying to do a documentary about Dyatlov, this discovery cracks it wide the fuck open. Like, her reaction is just puzzling.
No, it should be completely different than what it should be. I'm trying to think, like, as Beloved, So Below You, we talked about that earlier, I also had that same problem where, like, that character continually makes all the problems or their decisions that ends up...
We're doing it my way no matter what, and my way's getting most everybody killed.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't think that was in her heart. I don't think she, there's no way they could anticipate. And having an avalanche triggered and dropped upon you is, not something you would put yourself in the path of. So, I don't think, she's malicious, but not telling them where this drive was coming from was irresponsible. And again, once the danger was obvious and present, her character just becomes ridiculous for a while there. But I feel like I'm focusing on the negative. There's some really good suspense in the movie, and the reveals as they are sort of tethered out pay off.
Was she the one that even suggested the idea of them jumping through the gate?
Well, they sort of came to it. The choice was, once they got chased by these creatures into this bunker room, is they go back through the door and fight the transporting creatures that can bite your face off, or they try this gate and hope that they get out. And they opt for the gate, which is what sends them back and transforms them, is the way I interpret it.
Yes. I concur.
Solid watch.
No. I enjoyed this.
You really gave us all quite a fright with your late night gardening.
This is not normal sleepwalking. You should come see this. It's not good, Doc. Do you remember a man named Henri Desjardins? Went missing 30 years ago.
I tried to wash you in the river, you know.
How locked you become.
That woman is crazy.
The notion of spiritual parasites does exist.
So The Taking of Deborah Logan is directed by Adam Robitel, and it's a found footage film about a group of students who are documenting this woman who is suffering from Alzheimer's. She's being cared for by her daughter, and they're a little bit conflicted about having this all documented because, of course, it's intensely tragic and personal, but they are also desperate for money. They need to keep living where they're living. They need to keep, Deborah medicated, and it's sort of a give and take. Yes, we're going to do this documentary, and yeah, it's a little bit uncomfortable for us, but it helps, mom stay home longer and put some, steaks in the freezer. But the movie is really careful and respectful about the seriousness and the emotionality of the entire situation. We take this very earnestly and very straightly. We talk about the very real tragic symptoms of Alzheimer's and the effect it happens on the person and the family. And then, slowly, gently, the horror, like supernatural horror, starts to crawl into the movie. But because, for me, there's such a strong emotional foundation where you can't help but feel your heart go out to most of these characters, when the horror arrives, it has way more teeth than I personally was kind of anticipating. It's a deeply sad movie, and if it wasn't handled tactfully, I think you could accuse it of being exploitive. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's exploitive. But I will say something exploitive about it. I mean, I got to see a naked old lady, and I always like that.
That stood out to me too, and I think I wrote down a note where I said, sometimes old elderly people in these movies can be kind of creepy. They have a little creepy edge to them in these type of movies, and especially when they're naked.
Right.
That always seems to be like, it would be really weird if Grandma took off all of her clothes right now.
Nobody wants to see Grandma naked.
No, well, Grandpa might, but...
Nana, put your dress back on.
Yeah, but you're right. That scene when it's already getting kind of creepy and stuff is happening that isn't normal and shouldn't be happening, plus she's completely naked, it's off-putting, it's disturbing. And you're right, it was kind of respectful in the way, because this is a very sad, real disease. And I don't know about you, I know people that have gone through that with their parents, and I think it's treated respectfully in the movie as far as being a real thing. And it's kind of sad as it starts out, because you like the character of Deborah Logan, where she seems like a nice lady, and her daughter seems to wear. Her daughter wears this tired smile, like she does that well. She just looks exhausted, like she's been doing this a long time and she just needs some help. I think that relationship is done really well in the movie. And
you get the feeling like she has seen a lot of creepy things from her mom, and as a result, she's sort of built up a callus, and like she's a little bit more used to the extreme behavior. And that makes it a genuine cue when she starts flipping out about how scary her mom's getting. Or most famously, she was like, she threw up a bunch of earthworms. Okay? Yeah. That's not symptomatic of Alzheimer's. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. At a certain point, the sadness turns into scary when you realize, certain things start happening and they always kind of write it off. Well, maybe it was just this, or maybe you're seeing something, or maybe she was just having an episode. But, like when she was like jumped on the counter or something like that. And it's like, are we going to pretend this didn't happen? And they say, Mommy, got to stop climbing on the counter in the middle of the night. And Mom's kind of she looks embarrassed about it, or when she was eating her dolls or something, and she said, "Oh, we got to wrap these up because you like to eat them." And she seems almost embarrassed about it because she doesn't remember doing it. It's that way, but at a certain point, things go a little further than we're still shooting this documentary, but this is no longer a documentary about Alzheimer's. This is something else that's happening. And we're playing sleuth, and we're trying to find out what's happening, what's going on in the yard, who's the neighbor, what are they hiding. And I think it remains interesting, and it gets more and more interesting as the layers come and get peeled back.
This movie also, I must compliment it, follows through on something that I think every horror movie fan has kind of secretly wanted, and that Scream 2 touched on briefly, but this movie pulls the trigger on. One of the lead cameramen and the driver of the documentary crew, once he sees enough, once he reaches his when, he says, "Fuck you, I am leaving. This train is leaving in 5 minutes. Be on the train or don't, but I am leaving." And he fucking leaves, and that's that. And respect. Like, that is a very human response. How many times is this woman going to do something violent and horrifying before you say, you know what, this is not safe or right?
That's funny. I swear you can read my notes, because that's the other thing I wrote down. I said, shout out to the dude that realizes halfway in that he's in a horror movie all of a sudden, and he pieces the fuck up. You guys have fun? I'm fucking gone. Yeah,
I've been very big on praising this movie, and I am very happy with it. I do think there are a couple of occasions where they're filming conversations that it doesn't really make sense that they would be filming them, and we get a different angle that doesn't necessarily track with, like, who's in the room or how. But I think, like you said, I was enough embedded in the movie that I let that go and didn't, like... I noted it, but I didn't let it be a thing that pulled me out of the movie. But I will say there are a couple of scenes like that are there, especially when, the daughter, Sue, is that her name? Anne Ramsey, is the name of the actress, is talking to the physicians about what happened to her mom afterwards. The camera wouldn't or couldn't really film that. And, there are certain things like this.
And they mix in some security camera footage and stuff like that, too, to kind of fill in the blanks as well, which work.
Which help. And there's a few things to keep your mind busy in the background. This neighbor that keeps on showing up, who seems to be, intensely protective of Deborah, but also, there's clearly he knows more information than anyone else. Yes, there is a history, and we find out that Deborah might have been targeted by a serial killer for some sort of ritualistic killing. But it turns out she was able to kill him before he got to her. But somehow, by her brain being weakened, his spirit, or the malevolent demonic entity of this killer, is trying to finish the job by possessing her. I don't know what I was expecting to see, like, exploiting the, dementia, just like, she'll lash out, she scratches at her throat, she gets the weird scales on her back, and she yells. But when we round a corner and we see this woman putting a child's entire head in her mouth...
The jaw-dropping finale, you mean?
Yeah. I don't know what I was expecting to see, but it genuinely wasn't that. It was a holy fuck moment. Like, she is turned into a monster, like, physically transformed into a monster, and we hadn't seen anything near that extreme. Like, they really buried the lead on it to make it as effective and disturbing as possible when you see it. And there's also something about that, like, glassy-eyed little kid who stole it out of the hospital, who just stands there and takes it. Like, whoa.
Yeah, that scene at the end that you talk about where she is, like, sucking on this head and getting the whole thing, like, how that happens, I'm not sure. Like, her mouth unhinges. I don't think that's a symptom of Alzheimer's. So there's something else going on here. But I think the first time I watched this movie, the screenshot of that scene was what really made me find this movie and seek it out.
Yeah, I didn't even know it was coming.
Yeah, you see the thumbnail of that picture, or someone would play like a 2-second clip of it. And my question was, what the hell is this? Why haven't I seen it? And where can I get it? And, you read the comments. This is the taking of Deborah Logan. And say, I know nothing about this. I need to see it right now. It worked. And you're just watching this movie, and it's near the end. So you kind of forget about that for a while. And then it happens. You're like, oh, shit, what is this?
Yeah. But, the director went on... Sorry?
You talked about a couple of things also with the found footage style. In the end, before that scene, there was a period where the found footage format kind of hurt me a little bit. where I found it a little bit frantic. I couldn't tell exactly who we were following or who had the camera, what was happening to. Maybe that's part of what they wanted to do, but when they're going through the caves and that.
You kept on switching from the police body cam to the camera, and it was so hectic that you kind of got lost who was where. I agree. Like, I understand that complaint. I do. But again, I just liked the movie enough that I was willing to put up with it. And it's not like Blair Witchy, where most of the movie is that. It's that particular sequence definitely has all of it. Robitel, the director, did Insidious: The Last Key, which I remember being one of the better Insidious sequels. And then the 2 Escape Room movies, Escape Room and Escape Room Tournament of Champions. But with that resume, his first movie, The Taking of Deborah Logan, is clearly the best movie he's made so far. I mean, maybe sometimes the low budget and the forced perspective kind of forces you into more creative decision-making in some ways. Like, you can't go to the wide shot, and you can't punch up the soundtrack to make this hit more powerfully emotionally. You just have to find the best way to show this scene and get the best cast that you possibly can. So, do I have a few reservations about The Taking of Deborah Logan? Yes, but they are completely eclipsed by the pluses. The main actress, I want to make sure I mention her here, Jill Larson, who plays Deborah Logan. She is chilling, and she's also very willing to show us this gentle, demure, or even kind of strict mother figure, and then completely wolf out into something that makes you want to have nothing to do with her, and really well acted. Impressive.
I completely buy into her character.
Yeah,
And, they're saying, please say thank you, please and thank you. She's an old-fashioned, polite lady, and you get that from her. She's a little bit shy about the cameras being around, and then she does a very well job for this kind of movie.
Yeah.
And there's something about what you said with the idea of when your mind is weakened, you're more susceptible. Yes. I like that idea. It's like, well, if you're not using your mind, may I borrow it for a little while?
That's right.
And that's kind of creepy to me.
And again, it's a creepy idea. Like, maybe this particular person isn't senile. Maybe this particular person isn't schizophrenic. Maybe they are possessed. How could we know?
Yeah. This would be watch this and then go to a nursing home the next day and
just try not to make too much eye contact, and hopefully no naked grannies. Is there anything else you want to say about The Taking of Deborah Logan?
Just definitely, if you're into the found footage style of horror movies, this is one that I think you should check out.
Yes, agreed. Thank you, sir.
The evil isn't inside the church.
Is that a voice?
It's underneath it.
It's a bit tight in here.
What is present in this place has returned.
Have you ever seen anything like this before?
Father Granny! Oh, Christ!
Final prayer.
Okay, so the movie we're going to talk about is called Final Prayer, and I totally am prepared. It is directed by Elliot Goldner and also written by him. It's a Vatican research team is sent to this obscure Welsh church, I want to say. Is it in Wales?
I thought it was Scotland.
Is it Scotland? It's one of these many rural churches that, they all look haunted to us on this side of the ocean, but they're ubiquitous on that side of the ocean. They have these churches and ruins that are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years old, and they're all over the countryside. This one is being reopened after hundreds of years to be used as an actual place of worship again, and needs to be possibly reconsecrated. And these investigators from the Vatican are come to take a look at some strange incidents that are going on and try to document it, see what's going on, to report back to the Vatican about how to move forward with reopening this church. Right there, at least it's solving one of the major problems. Between the security cameras in the church and the fact that they're there to shoot the footage, why are they still shooting? Because that's their job, that's what they're there to do, and the security cameras are always running. Mm-hmm. So I appreciate that.
They fixed that problem that we talk about sometimes.
And right away, you understand why. Does it have some sort of familiar things? Yes, but not necessarily to do with found footage. Like the community that doesn't trust the new people in town. We may have seen that one or two times, right? An ancient evil beneath a church. We might see that before. But I don't know. I think that there's a lot going on, and it digs its claws in you kind of without realizing it, because I felt like I was liking it and enjoying it, but I wasn't like blown away. But then the ending hits, and then I was like, wow, like that kind of had more teeth than I was expecting to it. And I sort of looked back over all I'd seen and what led them into this trap and into this fate that we were to witness. I've said to you before in the past that religious horror typically doesn't get to me, but I enjoy the conflict for these characters. Because their skepticism is there, at least initially, but enough crazy shit gets put in front of them that, has to be real. And if you're a person of faith, does it test your faith to be witness to something like this? Is it like, are you somehow at a disadvantage being a person of faith facing off something like this? Because God has the rules, everything that we know in the Bible is true, and nothing that we're witnessing has anything to do with what's going on in the Bible. I ended up quite liking it. I mean, it surprised me. It's not a well talked about movie.
No,
it's a pretty obscure number, but I think it does the job of a good found footage movie. It kept me engaged, and I didn't yell bullshit too many times. And those are the things that will keep me away from getting scares. And its effect was cumulative. When I first watched it, I thought that was good, but it stuck with me. I kept thinking about it. So what did you think of Final Prayer?
Yeah. I'll correct. It was English Countryside.
Countryside.
I just looked it up. That what threw me off is the one character there who had that situation happen in Brazil, and this kind of scene at the beginning of the film. He's Scottish, but
his character.
Yeah, but it's English, and then it snuck up on me a little bit. Again, the problem with the character who irritates me was very much there in the first act. We've got the technician who is putting all the cameras in and setting everything up, and he's another guy. We talk about characters who just will not shut up.
Right.
And they were playing on the dynamic that the Scottish guy was quieter, and he's trying to think of things, and he's not appreciating this guy, who's also, by the way, a non-believer, but he managed to get this job. I think there's a bit of a story about him getting this job later on, just by kind of saying the right things. But it calmed down a bit in the second act and third act, where he kind of,
the worm turns for him. It starts to get real.
He starts to be less jokey, more serious, and just less annoying, which helped. And I'm a real sucker for these small UK towns. Well, it could also be in Australia. It could be in New Zealand.
Yeah.
I like the small town US horror stories as well too. But the fact that there's something a little bit odd about the town. There's something very modern about it. That they've got these young people that are kind of running around causing problems, and that's what they're having to contend with, when it just seems like, is there some sort of evil force? But it really is just like these thugs. And then finally in this scene, like, punched out this kid. He gets so mad after this interaction in a pub, punches out the kid, and I was kind of like,
"Thank you,
yes, please." I don't normally like here for that violence, but it really is a problem in the UK, and so that part's grounded. The fact that the church has like maybe 4 parishioners,
right?
That computes with with what's happening in some communities. Not trusting strangers. Again, it's a convention, but it's also a fact. that happens. Like, these people are coming from, and like, who are they and what are they doing getting into our business. I thought the priest character was interesting too, because he is, they don't trust him at all. They think he's conning everybody.
It's a way to drum up attention to the church.
Attention to try to get people back at church there. And he seems to really love and care about this church, but is he a con man, isn't he? And we start to see some stuff which kind of muddies the waters there. This is why there were some points that was like, oh, okay, so we're doing the paranormal activity thing with like flashing between different cameras at night and looking in the shadows for
what's going to happen, what's going to fall,
slight movement, and it's supposed to have some meaning here. I guess for me, all the lead up to the climax worked really well and was enough for me to give it, I'm so in between. It's like a 2.5, 3-star for me. Okay. But the problem with the end is the problem I have with some found footage movies, and when things just become we're in dark spaces, the camera's flying all over the place, we're hearing voices, people shouting on over top of each other. It's tough to focus on what's actually happening. Then suddenly the camera stops, and we're supposed to be like really creeped out and horrified about what's going on. And I just I actually tuned out a bit towards the end. It did not keep my attention at the end, where it sounds like the end of it really worked well for you.
Well, I mean, we'll just go to spoilers, okay?
Okay, sure. Yeah.
They're consumed by the church, or this thing underneath this church. They pursue voices down beneath this passage, beneath the church, and it gets weirder and weirder and stranger. Yeah. They end up having to like crawl, and the ground seems weird. Yes. And they've somehow like crawled literally into the belly of some Lovecraftian beast, which slowly starts to fry and sizzle them as we fade to black. Yeah. Like, and yes, religion does consume people. Like I see what you're doing there, but such a horrible fate. And all the time they're trying to rescue someone. They're hearing this voice, which is obviously a lure. I understand what you're saying at the beginning of the film with them sort of being blasé, because the guy taking lead thinks the priest is just doing this to drum up attention to the church, and he will not see otherwise. Yeah. And the skeptic is just skeptical of everything and will not see otherwise.
And it starts to change. Yeah.
And then the suicide happens.
Yes.
The priest jumps off of the tower of the church, which he would hardly do if he was trying to drum up business for his, new parishioners or whatever. And the stuff falling off the walls, as benign as it is unexplainable. And they do have the footage. And they are going to have to make a report back to the Vatican as to what the hell is going on. Yeah. And I appreciated that they did have the leverage in their characters for the change to happen in both of them, to a certain degree.
They had to, again, it's as old as The Exorcist. They had to bring in this guy from the Vatican who's a little bit, outside of the realms of what they approve of. Yeah. Who's a kind of a mentor to our main character. That I've seen that before. I've seen the things fly off of walls in churches and these types of movies before. I was like, that cross, I was like, okay, when's the cross falling?
Anytime now.
They waited.
Yeah.
To their credit, they waited for a while there. And so there were just some things where I was just like, okay, I kind of saw that coming. That suicide worked well. I was not the least bit surprised it happened. I knew that priest was going to die.
No, that was very much an end of Act 1 moment.
That was an omen thing. Yeah, we're going to have this, holy character, seemingly holy character kill themselves, or like a character that we care about kill themselves somewhere in the second act. And then, we're really in trouble with the devil or whatever's going on. There was all that business about it was a church that was built over pagan ground as well, too. Yeah. What did you make of that?
Well, it's a classic sort of thing. Pagan kind of is a blanket term.
It is. I know, they just used it kind of.
But it is true that they took places that were used for pagan religions and just rebuilt their own churches over top of them. They took pagan holidays and renamed them over these Christian holidays. And they did that very deliberately as a way to smother the original beliefs. In this case, and what this quote pagan religion is, some Lovecraftian monster is a physical entity living beneath the church. I think that was interesting to me too. It's not it's not spiritual. Like, this is a physical thing somehow beneath the church.
Yeah. That's an interesting touch, and I think if there's something that's Lovecraft, I know that's going to win you over for sure.
I hadn't seen it before.
Yeah. I mean, I really had not heard of this movie until it came up for this month, and
also known as Borderlands, by the way.
Borderlands. If you can't find Final Prayer, it was funny when I was looking for it. I couldn't find Final Prayer. Found Borderlands, and then it said Borderlands on the poster I had. When I started playing it, it said The Final Prayer. IMDb says The Final Prayer, so that's always confusing. But yeah, I wouldn't steer people away from it. It's not my favorite of this year's film club for sure, but it's at first it got off to such a bad start. I thought this might be negative Jason coming out here, but then it started to slowly win me over. I guess it was just really a borderline call. I didn't get as much of the ending, and I think that is the limitation of found footage, is that if it's not found footage, we can have a camera which is divorced from all this, showing us all this horrific stuff. I mean, thinking about Hereditary, for example.
Right.
The impact of that end is so powerful, but they didn't have to have somebody with a shaky camera going around and putting us in the middle of the climax of that film. We just were there observing it, as opposed to like what's going on.
Maybe this didn't need to be found footage, is what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I think the things that I most disliked about it were conventions of found footage. It was a choice. I mean, they did explain the technology really well, because this has to be proven to the Vatican. Otherwise, either that it's a fraud or not, and that had to happen that way. So I think it makes sense that they made it work. Just a couple things that I'm being pickier about, I guess. Maybe I shouldn't be. But
for the record, they made a very similar movie to this called The Vatican Tapes, in that it's about investigators working for the Vatican. Mm-hmm. I think this is the better of the two, personally.
Yeah, I haven't watched The Vatican Tapes, so someday.
Good enough. So I guess now that the business of reviewing the 6 found footage movies has been done, and thanks to the Film Club for all of their good work, it now falls to me to have to rank these. And I think for the most part we have a strong list here. I mean, I may have had issues with As Above, So Below, which is in 6th place, but I think there's enough there to warrant a recommend. I do think it represents some of the shortfallings of the genre, but I think there's enough good that it squeaks by. But it's getting away with something. In 5th place, which is low for me because I genuinely enjoy it and do think it really does work your nerves, is My Little Eye. Sort of a way too soon internet age reality TV dissection. And there's something really ugly and sinister about the whole enterprise here. And the CTV footage and grain of it is sort of a sort of particular time, and I think it really works to people. For people who it'll work for, it'll work really well. I mean, if you're not into that aesthetic, I understand. But unfortunately, putting it in 5th place, because I do quite like it. In 4th place, Devil's Pass from Rennie Harlan. I really do think he's a decent director, and he does try as he can to make the found footage work for him. I think he's used to richer production values, and there are a couple of times where it's almost too pretty. It's almost too together for a found footage movie. And there is some CGI monster happening here. I can warn people of that. But it's a solid premise and a really solid watch. So Devil's Pass in 4th place. In 3rd position, I'm going to give it to Final Prayer, also known as The Borderlands. I know Jason wasn't as big on that, but this one, the ending kind of got to me. It's one of those found footage movies that its power isn't obvious right away. Its power is in its ability to kind of not let go of you. In the top 2 positions, I have movies that are very close because they both kind of tapped into something emotional for me. But I think I'm going to give The Taking of Deborah Logan second place. You know, the idea that senility or Alzheimer's or dementia could be used as a mask for something sinister and evil is truly terrifying. And, you know, just general fear of age and of degradation and of, you know, systems failing. It really does kind of put you in a real place before things get really, really unreal. So, congratulations for that. And I'm going to give Lake Mungo number 1 because it kind of rattled me. I think it tapped into my parental nerve. Like, I didn't like how real this grief felt. And I think I mentioned in the review that it kind of scratches the itch of the true crime, although it's the benefit here of it, you know, not being the real deal. But the fake documentary and the presentation is probably the most authentic of all of these movies. Yeah, you still have to deal with film grain and, you know, the story is very slowly unspooled to you, but it got me emotionally, and I strongly recommend it. But really, it's a bunch of solid found footage horror movies here for a subgenre or for a type of filmmaking that's got a mixed reputation. It is well represented here. Thanks, Film Club. And so it was, we came to the end of another Film Club edition. Or do we? I think I remember in the previous Film Club episode making Raylee a promise. Well, anyway, maybe we'll get to that later. For the time being, if you have feedback about found footage or these ranks, you should send it to ranknreview@gmail.com. That's ranknreview@gmail.com. The website is www.ranknreview.ca. And like I said before, there is a YouTube presence, however small and pathetic. But it can only grow. It can only grow. Thank you so much for listening to Rank and Review. We drop every other Wednesday, at least till I hit episode 300, in which time I'm going to take an earned break. I really appreciate you for listening to Rank and Review. And I hope you continue listening to Rank and Review all the way to the end.
What's going on over there?
Whatever you do not go into the water.
The lake is off limits to everyone.
There's something in the water!
Piranha hunt in packs. The first bite draws blood. Blood draws the pack.
Get out of the water, okay?
Bonus review.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, what is this for?
Yeah, what are we gonna put this on?
It's gonna be like a secret bonus review on an episode. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Like the secret song on a CD.
That's right.
Okay.
People who like stayed through to after the exit get a little extra.
What are you still doing here?
That's
the
right.
movie's over now.
But it's over.
Yeah.
Listen, you don't have to love Piranha 3D. I do,
Nope.
but you don't have to love Piranha 3D. But I think you have to respect It's absolute fearlessness. Like,
it is bold.
It does not give a fuck about your feelings. Like, it doesn't care if you don't like this kind of movie. If you're not,
it's all in.
That's right.
It's unapologetic.
Oh, you think it's a little bit exploitive? Yeah, we set out to make an exploitive movie, and motherfucker, we're making an exploitive movie.
They don't make any apologies for it.
And I am here for that. Like, honestly, I kind of get tired of all the pearl clutching, like the...
But also, like, you know what you're getting into. So if you're going to go and complain that the movie is exploitive, like, go fuck yourself, because you knew that movie was exploitive. This is why we're here.
It is like, the draw of the genre.
Yeah.
Largely horror is the appeal
Sex,
of the
blood,
forbidden.
And teeth, I think,
and
was
what is
part
forbidden?
Of the tagline.
Sex and violence.
Yeah.
That's what we're here to see, and that's what Piranha 3D delivers in 3D, unapologetically, with a big, goofy smile on its face.
And, like, good effects, good budget, good everything. Because other movies try and do Piranha 3D, but fail.
You don't have to love it back, but understand that it loves you.
Yes. It's a good way to explain it.
Raylee, you really wanted to talk about this movie. It means a lot to you, so
I'm
just going to pass the ball right to you. Alexander Aja's remake of Piranha 3D, where do you land?
This is one of my favorite creature movies. If not possibly my favorite creature movie, like, it's definitely, like, top 3. I move them around. I went to go see this in theater. I convinced all of my friends to go see this with me in theater, even though they were not creature movie fans.
It was happening.
Yeah. We made cosplay bloodied tank tops to go and see it. Like, I knew what I was getting into, and it literally blew me away. Like, it was so much better than I could have ever expected it to be. I thought it was going to be a bad movie, like a bad creature B movie. I was not expecting it to be actually a good creature movie, and so I was pleasantly surprised. I think, for me, when it opens and you see Richard Dreyfuss...
Matt Hooper.
And I think his character's name is even Matt something.
It is Matt Hooper. Yeah. That is who you're seeing.
And so you know immediately that this movie is like, it knows what it's doing.
Yep.
It is paying respect to the god of the shark movies, right?
Which was the original Piranha, yep.
And it kills the character who survived the shark attack.
Right. Mm-hmm.
In the first 4 minutes, I timed it. I think it was like 4 minutes and 30 seconds that character is dead. Like, so it's like respecting the genre, respecting its ancestors, but then, like, saying, but fuck you, Richard Dreyfuss, and
joyfully goofy about it, too.
Yeah. And it was a great death. Like, it was a great death scene.
Yep.
I mean, it was terrible for Richard Dreyfuss' character. I feel really bad for him.
Yep.
But it was a great... and that's, like, the first 5 minutes of the movie.
I certainly wouldn't want to oversell the screenplay because, like, the characters are whatever. Like, they're lined up to be knocked down, and the movie understands this about it. But what I will say is most of the cast are overperforming. This is one of the best things Jerry O'Connell has ever done in his career. He is fucking hilarious.
He is so good.
He is so over the top.
Oh, where does Beckmann land on Piranha?
Oh, I'm a big Piranha defender on both, like, the original and the remake. There is a lot of TNA in this movie. Like, it is not shy.
Well, and to the point that apparently it was a little bit gross on set sometimes because they had some adult film actresses on set and models who were willing to do nudity, but they were doing sort of collage shots, and they were going to piece it together later, and they were sort of trying to out-sleaze each other to get on screen, and it was probably getting kind of nasty, right?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Strange environment to be working with. Yeah. And maybe if you're one of those girls, it's all fun and games, but for, like, Elizabeth Shue and Christopher Lloyd
Adam
or
Scott.
whatever, Adam Scott, like...
Always good to see Christopher Lloyd, too.
Yeah, he was also very great.
I love some of the jokes, like the whole flower duet sequence with the two women bathing underwater. Like, it is so ridiculous, even that musical choice. No. So, like, good for the movie.
Yeah, everything is just over the top.
Yes.
It is an amazing and worthwhile... The mermaid sequence is, I believe, what it's referred to. And it's two completely naked women swimming underwater for I'm going to say 5 minutes.
It's a long time.
It goes on for such a long time. Like, I remember watching it and just thinking, like, really?
Yeah,
okay.
and they're, like, watching through the screen in the bottom of their boat.
And in 3D, no less.
Right. The things you would be treated to in 3D, because it was built in. It wasn't one of these retro fixed 3Ds. So when that piranha pukes the penis and it comes out,
it really shoots
it's like in your face with that.
It was really great.
Yeah. No, Jerry Connell is a lot of fun, but like he is nauseating. Like you are happy when he finally succumbs to his injuries. My penis, like just too much.
To illustrate the sloppiness of the script, though, Paul Scheer, I believe he's a bald guy, and he has this white sort of
on his
nose, supporting player on the boat.
Yeah.
What happens to him?
Didn't he die in an explosion or something, or no? No.
He vanishes. They were going to do a scene where he tried to swim off the boat and got eaten, but they ended up not having time to shoot it. So he just disappears from the movie. And because of the chaos of the movie, nobody ever clocks it. He's just suddenly not around.
I've seen that movie so many times. I've never thought about it.
But it works so completely that it doesn't even matter that narrative thread is just abandoned, because you're there for the piranha violence, and I guess for the titties. I mean, I'm not ashamed. I appreciate titties.
I'm there for it.
But I have to give full credit, too. That would have been enough. But when it peaks at the beach party sequence...
Thank you, Greg Nicotero and company.
The sequence of violence and death and gore, like we said,
it is like no other.
It's unbelievable. As far as they went with the nudity, I might argue they went further with the gore.
And it kept going. And some of the best or worst deaths were like non-piranha related.
Right.
Like the one with the boat, the speeding boat, is horrifying.
Girl gets her hair caught in the motor and it rips her scalp off, and like the wire cutting the big titties in half, and like it, like the piranhas were like the least of the concern in that scene, right?
Death by human error. You also get to see director Eli Roth, who is officiating the wet t-shirt contest, get his head popped like a zit when the boat hits the barge. It's like, and it keeps on topping itself, and they're trying to pull the woman out of the water, and she just splits in half as
and then they all climb up on that big apparatus, and it slowly starts tipping over, and like the chaos in the movie theater too, like seeing it for the first time, I was like, I can't think of a scene in another movie that compares to that level of just like chaos and over the top with all aspects of it.
And for a movie that is like openly stupid, like it is okay, it's wearing its stupid on its sleeve, I think it's sneakily smart the way they portray the grotesqueries of Spring Break, so that we don't feel deeply about this violence that we're seeing.
That's the thing. Like, Jerry O'Connell in the movie is smarmy, right? Like, he's gross. But, like, there's a guy who makes those wild girl videos.
I think it was Wet, Wild, and Ready to Go or something like that. Or Wet,
I'm sure he's just...
There was that whole craze in the
caricature,
the 90s.
Like, of that character, right?
Yeah,
like, there is a guy who's that gross in real life.
It seems like a dated reference, because I think they're doing Girls Gone Wild, right?
Yes.
And you don't have to pay $40 for a VHS tape off of the TV anymore. The internet happened, okay?
But they were still creating those videos, right?
Someone's shooting that footage, for sure. But that was the sort of vibe that they were going for.
So this movie would never get made today, at least by a major studio.
You don't think so?
No.
I doubt it.
Not
who would
at that
go
level.
this hard? Like, Aja was... I just respect so much how he was like, we're going to make this the filthiest thing that we can make it. And it's so awesome that it played in theaters, because it does feel like the back of the video store kind of shame bin type of movie.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think
it's certainly not woke in any way.
No. But again, like, if you're going to it expecting that, then like you're going to the wrong movie. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so, like, I just think, I don't know. Maybe it wouldn't get made today.
Always good to see Ving Rhames. Always good to see Elizabeth Shue.
I will say the weakest part of this movie for me, and I like Adam Scott, is his character.
Really?
Right? I was trying to find one thing to criticize about this movie. And again, I like him as an actor. But he couldn't really figure out if he was like the dorky scientist, smart guy, or like the tough hero guy. Like, he kind of didn't ever, I don't know.
Yeah.
No shade. That's like, if I can find a flaw with this movie.
If I could find a flaw with this movie, can I get kind of grossly personal, you guys?
Yeah.
Sure.
Fehr. I don't think there would be anything more personally, unforgivably embarrassing than being caught masturbating.
Okay.
And this kid, the main character, twice, his mom walks into his room when he's about to masturbate. And that's horrible. But then imagine your mom is Elizabeth fucking Shue.
Fair.
Yeah.
It's this, I for all the gross stuff that we see in the movie, I want to skip that scene. That's the scene where I don't want to watch this. This is making me uncomfortable.
Yeah. I don't know. And it has, if you just boil it down and take all the excess out of it, it has all of the elements a creature movie should have.
Right.
Yep.
Right? It's like, it fits the formula, it fits the genre, it does it well, and then it does it well, and then it does it in excess.
Yeah.
But I think it does it well first.
And there are, suspenseful moments in it, even though the movie's redonkulous. Those two scuba divers, when they first discover the chamber, that's actually a pretty creepy sequence.
Yeah.
And by the time they get her up to the boat, there's just bones left, and,
Yeah. And the first kill happens, like I said, in the first 5 minutes.
No, they don't make you wait.
But the second kill does take a while to happen. Because there's a lot of, this person's in the water, this person's in the water, this is happening, and it doesn't happen for another I think 30 minutes or something like that. It's a long time for the second death.
Yeah.
Or second kill.
Public service announcement.
Okay.
There is a sequel to this movie called Piranha 3
Double
D. Do not watch that. I am not a fan of the sequel. I think this movie has something special, personally.
Yes. The sequel does not even compare.
No.
It is in the land of bad creature movies.
It's more like a Hitcher 2 type of... That's a deep cut reference for the Rank and Review listeners.
Yeah, if you're still listening. What I will say about the sequel is they brought back the sheriff with shotgun legs.
Yes, that was an odd choice.
Pretty
he
awesome.
Is so dead, but
And Paul Scheer shows up in it again, so he did somehow manage to survive.
Yeah.
And Gary Busey.
Oh,
Gary fucking Busey.
Don't sell Piranha 3 Double D, though.
I don't know.
Sell Piranha 3D.
Go watch it. It's just worse.
You scumbags know you're going to watch it anyway.
Yeah.
No, Alexander Aja has made a lot of really good horror movies, and this is one of them.
And he's not ashamed.
Is
he's
it
not
a horror movie, though?
Yeah.
It's a creature feature. I would say it's gore enough. But it's
you laugh more
unapologetic.
than anything.
Here's some boobs for you. Here's some ridiculous gore for you. Enjoy.
But also,
thank you.
The shitty character gets his dick bit off.
Yep.
Yes.
And he's still alive. That is great. Cause
you
and
would
effect.
argue not.
I was happy. I was yeah, you fucking.
I think most people were happy at that point.
You fucking deserve that.
But the mermaids didn't deserve to get it like that.
No.
They were really great.
They were really
The one
great.
when she was climbing across the rope.
Yeah.
Biting her hair.
Yeah, that was pretty. I actually, that one hurt.
Stung a
that
little.
one hurt a little. Yeah, she was pretty great, actually.
She kind of reminded me of that chick from Incident at Loch Ness,
The scientist?
Yes, exactly.
Anyway, it's great. It's one of my top 3. I revisit it often.
Regularly.
Just for comfort.
Would you like to be responsible for the Jerry Springer final thought, Mr. Beckmann?
Jerry Springer final thought. Final thought.
Easy for you to say.
Apparently not. No, I love me some Piranha 3D. I don't think it's good as the original, but it doesn't false advertise.